Hey, I'm Henrik from Dirty Loops, and you're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. Check it out.
Hi everyone, John Liebman here. You're watching for BassPlayersOnly.com. We're coming to you from the EBS booth at the 2019 Winter NAMM show in Anaheim, California, with none other than Henrik Linder. How are you, Henrik?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thanks.
Henrik Linder of Dirty Loops, the Swedish band that's all the rage, has been for many years now. We met back in, I don't know how many years ago at Bass Player Live, and I got to watch you play, and I got to hear you. Felt very privileged to be able to see you in person. Watched a lot of your YouTube videos, and I really, really like your band, and I like what you do. And I can see why so many hundreds of thousands and maybe millions of others do as well. So I want to hear your story. You are from Sweden.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear about those early days, how you were first exposed to music and how you became a bass player. What's your story as far as that stuff goes?
It was really my dad that played a lot of music at home. So I started playing piano when I was 4, and music was always around in my family, and I guess that's how it was. I really started playing bass because there was a girl I had a crush on that said it was a sexist instrument, so then I picked up bass. So.
Okay. And how did that work out for you, or do I need to?
We worked together for 8 years, so the bass worked. So everybody should pick bass if they're in that situation.
Yes,
so
as long as you do it for the right reason, like like this case here. Tell me about the bass players that may have gotten your attention. Did you have any specific bass influences or bass heroes once you discovered the instrument?
My first was Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's the other reason I got into it. So, and then I moved on to probably Les Claypool from Primus, and then I got into Jacko, and then I got into Gary Willis and Anthony Jackson and Victor Wooten and all the other bass players and Patty Tucci, and yeah.
Okay, and I notice you play mostly 6-string, or you play, okay, so that's Anthony Jackson and Patitucci, and
Yeah.
so your technique is extraordinary, especially it's not just slapping and popping. That in itself you do extraordinarily well, but the double thumbing and the double popping and the thumb going up and down and the 2 fingers at once. Could you talk a little bit about your technique?
So the double thumb is basically that you hit it. I try to like play through the string and then hit it on the upside. So I do it like right in the bottom of the neck, so it's not, so I don't dig in too deep. But that's the way I do it. The person that kind of Victor Wooten, I don't think does it like that at all, and he's way better than me in doing that. So, but this is the way that I approach it, and it's. Going here. And
so you're not really getting under the string, but you are getting below. Well, but under it as far as below it, but you're not behind it.
No, exactly. So it's like that, and then you double pluck at the same time. So
I sure wish it was as easy as you describe it.
It's not. That thing wasn't easy for me at all. I had to practice it a lot because it was unnatural for me to. I don't know, I can't play with a pick either, so I have to practice a double thumb.
Well, a couple of things I noticed. One, the spacing does not seem to be too narrow on that bass, so you have enough room for slapping and popping, but the action looks pretty low.
Yeah, the action is pretty low. I like low action.
That does not negatively affect your popping? Well, obviously it doesn't, but does it make it more difficult?
Actually, when I was used to, my first bass was in 70s Ibanez with a really high pick guard. So I got used to, like, I don't want to dig too deep with the pops either. So I pop with this side of the finger. So I don't dig too deep there either. So it's like at the tip of the finger almost, but that's the way I do it. And I think that's the fun thing with slap basses. Everybody have their different way of approaching it, and that's really great. Or like with most bass players.
You must have a relatively light touch because you don't have to really dig in. You mentioned Gary Willis. He's not known for the slapping thing, but he is known for his very light touch.
Yeah.
And I know he was one of your influences. Well, how did the whole Dirty Loops thing get started?
It was the drummer that started Dirty Loops, and he had this idea that we were gonna do some covers together. And basically, we were session musicians, and we started the trio so that we could do everything that people told us not to do in sessions. And it was all of those things that would get you fired from a normal job. So we did a trio where we could do all of those things, and that was a lot of fun.
Okay. And you do a lot of cover tunes, right? So who does the writing, the arranging? What's the process for deciding what you want to do and then how it comes together and leads to the ultimate end result?
It's been very different for all of the covers. We never were organized and had a way of doing things. So the first covers we did, it was usually that Jonah came with some chords and then we kind of jammed it out. The later covers, like Baby and Rolling in the Deep, were more of they were more pre-arranged, so that we sat with computers and tried out voicings and stuff like that, and then recorded it. And and then the album came with the originals, and the writing process was kind of different for every song. We usually worked 2 and 2 all the time, so either Aaron and Jonah, Aaron or me, or Jonah and me, to write songs. I don't know why. We worked better when we worked in pairs than when all three were present at the same time. So it's been in all different constellations. So
what's happening with the band right now? Are you working on something new? Are you going to go out and tour, or where do those things stand?
We're working on new music. We recorded a couple of songs last year, and we're going to record some more, and it will be out later this year.
Okay. You have a title?
I'm very excited about it.
You have a title for the record?
No, not yet.
We will watch for that. Tell me about your gear. Bass, strings, and mention EBS.
It's Proline 2000 cabinets that are 410 with a tweeter. And then I usually play the TD 660, but the heads, they're a little heavier than the Raidmar. And live with Dirty Loops, I use an Axe-Fx, a Fractal Audio. And then I use a Helix stomp, where I get the delays and modulation, or HX stomps from Line 6. And then I have a bunch of pedals from Dark Glass, Pigtronics, Relief Audio, EBS, MXR, TC Electronics. But the pedal board for the next tour is still under construction. Oh, and I used the ES8 from Roland as well. That's kind of a switching bass, so that I don't have to wire all the gear. But I run the Axe-Fx 3 also. It's a wet, dry, wet, so I have a clean signal that goes in through the amp, and then I have a left and right that goes out in the PA system. And then there's 2 stereo loopers in there, so I have my pedal board, one of them, and then there's a bunch of special effects in the other one. So it's a pretty complicated rig, so I'll see if I actually will use it when we will go on tour that way, but that's the plan right now, to use it like that, so I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
Overkill. You wouldn't really need it, but it's fun. When you can do it, why not? I mean,
why not? What are you holding there in your lap, Henrik?
This is Madison bass. It's my signature 6-string. It has a Venji top, I think, and I always forget what kind of wood's in this. I think it's alder. And it has an A-drop and splittable pickups from EMG. So here you could go into humbucker, and there's single coil when you pull the switches on this. So I mostly played in single coil. Then it's bass, treble, mid, which is kind of a weird order. I don't know why it's like that, but it is.
What about strings? What kind of strings do you like?
I can't talk about that.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I forgot. Okay. Well, you open it up for a follow-up interview, and we'll hear about all the new stuff, including whatever gear you're using. What about the future? What else would you like to do? You're young, you have a lot of energy, you got a good thing going. What else would you like to do that you haven't accomplished yet?
I'm going to release a record at some point. It's me and a saxophone player called Björn Arke. We're going to release, it's more, I grew up listening to Michael Brecker a lot, and that was a huge influence. So I wanted to make some music where the writing is kind of in his style. So we're gonna really do a project with that. And then I have a project with called Gem with Eldar Jangiro and Matt Garska. That's, yeah, they're both of them are insane, and it's really the hardest music I ever played. We're gonna release an album. I still have 3 more songs to record on that record, so I'm really looking forward to play live with those guys as well. They're killer. And then I do some music with Aaron, the drummer of Dirty Loops as well, and have a project with him. So there's a bunch of stuff.
You're a busy young man. Let me ask you one last question.
Yeah.
If you can imagine, what would you be if you weren't a bass player? Something outside of music.
I don't know. I would probably like to study psychiatry or philosophy or something like that, but I don't know. I'm probably too stupid to do that.
I don't think so. Doesn't hurt to learn about that stuff, learn about other people and what makes us tick, because there are a lot of questions that are yet unanswered, so somebody's got to help figure that out. Well, Henrik Linder, it's a pleasure sitting down with you again and following up, and keep us posted on all those projects. Let us know what's happening, and we'll let these people know. Much luck and continued success to you. Congratulations on everything you've accomplished. Keep it up. We love it. On location at the EBS booth at the 2019 Winter NAMM show in Anaheim, California, with Dirty Loops bass player and composer and everything else, 1/3 of the band, Henrik Linder. I'm John Liebman. You're watching ForBassPlayersOnly.com.